Alrighty, so before I go to work, I am going to do the review of the Sunday game, and I was supposed to do it yesterday, but because my flight was delayed for more than 2 hours, and by the time I got home, it was like around 11 o'clock, and I was also feeling very tired. I decided that I'm just going to do it tomorrow. Though I wrote most of these notes yesterday, so that today I can just like wake up and then do this review, and also eat some lunch before I head out to work. But in terms of the Sunday action, well, it was very similar to the opening day action. I mean, if you're the home team, this was a good day for you, except for the fact that it turns out once again, the game that I've attended on Sunday, which was the Sounders versus Nashville, turns out that was the only game of the Sunday action that the home team did not get a win. And one other thing that was interesting about this opening weekend, none of the CCL team got a win. In fact, not only none of them got a win, but none of them even got a draw or even score a goal. I mean, CCL team that or MLS team that was involved in CCL that play, all of them went 0-4 and scored 0 goals and conceded 7 goals. And I know some people will also ask, well, what about New England? They got a draw. Notice how I said MLS team in CCL that actually played. New England didn't play their CCL match because unfortunately their opponent postpone, or not postpone, but forfeit their game, so therefore they kind of got a bye in CCL and get a pass to move on into the next round. But let us actually begin with these 5-game action, and we'll start off with the early game between Orlando City versus Montreal. By the way, I didn't really watch any of these games because during my time in Seattle, it was very hard for me to, of course, trying to watch these games while I was walking and stuff like that. And as dedicated I am, I'm not going to take it in the extreme while I'm walking, basically watching the game while I'm walking on the street of Seattle. That's a big no for all of you that think that walking on the street while looking at your phone is a great idea. But in terms of the early game between Orlando City versus Montreal, well, this was a game where it was kind of expected, where Montreal kind of had a letdown. And Orlando City took full advantage of that by getting all 3 points, though it kind of got a little bit spicy near the end of this game. It was a slow start to this game, not many chances for both teams, which is expected because anytime when a game kicks off around 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m., it's going to be a slow start. First real opportunity in the 15th minute as Kyoto rounds Galace, but unfortunately he could not put it on frame. Very similar to the first goal that he scored against Santos Laguna back on Wednesday, but this time he wasn't able to put on frame. Torres then had a long-range effort that is deflected wide, and keep in mind, I think this is Joaquin Torres. I later did mark the name because, there's 2 Torres. You got Facundo Torres for Orlando City and Joaquin Torres for Montreal, but I think this is Joaquin Torres, had a long-range effort that was deflected wide. Pereira then puts it just too high from 18 yards out, and I thought Orlando started dominating possession and looked for the opener, though Mihajlovic had a chance, but he puts one straight to Galace from short range. Pato then hits one straight to Briza in the back post in the 41st minute, and we head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Wanyama hits one hopper to Galace from long range, and then in the 49th minute, we got ourselves our opening goal. It's Pato that scores the opening goal for Orlando City to give them a 1-0 lead. Araujo then missed just wide after a WTF turnover from Montreal. By the way, the Orlando feed that I watched the highlights for, they apparently pronounce his name similar to, Atlanta's Luis Araujo. It's kind of like it's kind of almost like a hybrid of Araujo and Araujo, so I'm not sure if that's how they pronounce it. And keep in mind, he is Uruguayan, so I guess the Spanish pronunciation is Araujo, and the Portuguese pronunciation is Araujo. But here it's kind of weird that of course is the case. But I'll just stick with Araujo because of the fact that he's come from a Spanish-speaking country, and I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it in a Spanish name. Then in the 59th minute, Orlando doubled their lead, and it's Michel that scores from Pereira and Urso. What a beautiful team goal this is. And this goal really reminiscent of Oscar Pereira's first year with Orlando City, where I talk about how they play some of the most beautiful soccer in the league. This is a great example of it. I mean, they just completely move the ball from back to front. I think at one point, I think they completed around 13 or 14 passes leading up to the goal. That is just unbelievable soccer that Orlando City plays, and it's not very often you see build up like that leads up to a team goal. Then Joaquin Torres puts it over the bar from long range in the 62nd minute as Montreal looked to respond. But then in the 66th minute, Montreal chance to come back pretty much was over when Kyoto, he basically threw a punch to Janssen, and that is a big no. It's a straight red card. This is the problem with Kyoto. I mean, as talented as Romel Kyoto is, he also can be a hothead at time, and this is just an example of him just not controlling his emotion, and that's something that I think Wilfried Nancy is going to have to get his message to him, because you cannot do this in a game that, yes, I know you're frustrated that you're down 2-0, but you can't just simply lose your emotion like that. So yeah, Montreal was down to 10 men, though they did have another chance in the 77th minute as Galese denied Wanyama, and in some way I thought they actually played better when they were down to 10 men, which, as odd as that sounds, we've seen this before in MLS, where sometimes teams, when they go down to 10 men, they actually are better than the team against 11 men. I mean, logic doesn't make any sense, but sometimes that's how it is in MLS. And then what's also interesting is that, Janssen, the one that, of course, was the victim of a punch from Kyoto, well, unfortunately, he also got himself sent off in the 81st minute after a second yellow card, and yeah, it was not a good moment for him. I mean, he made a rash challenge where, when you're on yellow card, you cannot make those rash challenge, and yeah, he, of course, got himself a second yellow card, so we got a rare 10v10 soccer for the last 9 minutes, but that also means that, things really started to get very spicy, and this is when there was a lot of rash challenges and temperature by both teams, and mostly because Montreal was trying to route up Orlando, which, I know it's not really a good strategy for a losing team to kind of be a sore loser, but, for Orlando, this was interesting to see how they can keep cool, because this is one of the issues that they had under Oscar Pereira, where sometimes they can definitely lose their cool too. But to their credit, they didn't really kind of react too much. I mean, the Janssen yellow card wasn't really the Janssen red card wasn't really because of them losing a temper. But late in the game, Joaquin Torres fired a free kick into the supporter section, which pretty much sums up Orlando City, or not Orlando City, but Montreal Day. And yeah, in the end, Orlando was able to walk away with a 2-0 victory. Shots in this game, 8 shots apiece for both teams. 3 shots on goal for the 2 that Montreal has. 2 shots off target for the 5 that Montreal has. 3 shots out of blocked for the 1 that Montreal has. And possession-wise, 50% possession for both of these teams. And like I said, for Montreal, I don't think they need to be too worried about this result. Consider, again, it was always going to be tough. After a monumental win against Santos Laguna at home, it was going to be tough to try to follow up to play against an Orlando City side that in this game, they proved that, yeah, they are going to be a contender in the Eastern Conference for this upcoming season. But now moving on, in terms of the next match, is going to be Atlanta versus Sporting KC. Speaking of a contender in the Eastern Conference, Atlanta definitely proved in this game that, yeah, they are going to be a contender, and they're going to be like the old Atlanta of always be a team that finished in the top part of the Eastern Conference. And yeah, in the first big test that they had in the opening season against another team that could be contending for MLS Cup in the Western Conference, Sporting KC, they passed by winning 3-1 in this game. Guzan, though, I thought in the 12 minute got away with a howler after he just misjudged the flight of this ball, and then Fontes had a chance to basically tap it into the empty net, but unfortunately, Atlanta was able. There was a couple of Atlanta defenders clear that one off the line, so it was almost a disaster for Atlanta to start this game. But that turns out to be a crucial play, because just 7 minutes later, they would get the opening goal. It's Araujo scoring from Martinez and Wolf to give Atlanta a 1-0 lead. Now, Araujo would eventually come out because of a hamstring injury, which, yeah, that's not ideal. Consider, last season, you can definitely see that Araujo will start to fit well with this Atlanta side, and that I thought this year he definitely could have a big year and can live up to his DP tag. And even though he scored a goal in this one, that hamstring injury is definitely not a way he wants to start off the campaign this season. Rossetto then had a deflection shot that goes one in the 29th minute before Campbell puts one in Rosette in the 37th minute. And then besides one bad moment by Guzan, I thought it's been all Atlanta. I mean, Sporting KC, they were having a lot of trouble early in this game. In fact, their first real chance, besides the howler that Guzan made in the 12th minute, came in the 38th minute when Walter puts it wide from 18 yards out. Then he flicks one that goes high in the 45th minute. Though I will say that Sporting KC was starting to gain some momentum, but then they concede right on the stroke of halftime. And guess who it is? It's Dom Dwyer scoring from Martinez to give Atlanta a 2-0 lead. So instantly, this signing that, I said before that I'm not really that I'm not really that confident that Atlanta, of course, decided to sign Dwyer as kind of maybe a guy that, in case if Joseph Martinez goes down, he will, of course, will cover him, because we've seen this before where Atlanta trying to sign guys that are kind of way past their prime and a little bit washed, and it didn't quite work. But at least Dom Dwyer is proving me wrong so far. He scored his first goal here since 2019 to give Atlanta a 2-0 lead. And also that, of course, will be the score heading into halftime. And then in the second half, Martinez looked to try to open his goal-scoring account, but he missed wide. Martinez actually finished with 2 assists, which, I don't think that's something that he will say. I mean, he'll be happy, the fact that he, of course, got 2 assists, but Joseph Martinez want to get on the score sheet, and he really tried hard to do so in this game. Shelton then tried to slot it in, but completely got it all wrong in the 66th minute. Then Dwyer almost scored his second goal of the game as he tried to poke it in, but it goes wide. Moreno then hits one straight to Guzan in the 80, or not Guzan, I'm sorry, Melia instead, because that's Marcelo Moreno. He doesn't score an own goal in front of his goalkeeper. Keep in mind, I did this last night and I was relatively tired, so mistake is going to happen in terms of some of the things that I wrote down here on the board. But there was no doubt that Atlanta was pressing for a third and trying to put the cherry on top. Dwyer again tried to score his second goal, but this time it wasn't close. He puts it into Rosette from long range. And then in the 85th minute, Sporting KC got a lifeline, and it's Daniel Showery that scored to cut the lead in half. And, for Sporting KC, that hasn't really been in this game. That was definitely a lifeline, and that's when, if you're Atlanta, and certainly their fans, they're kind of got a little concerned, because they've seen this story before where they blow late leads. But fortunately, that was not meant to be, because in the 89th minute, they indeed put this game on ice and found that third goal. And what a moment this was for a 17-year-old Caleb Wiley scoring on his debut from Moreno to give Atlanta a 3-1 lead. And, anytime when you see a youngster make his debut, or even just a youngster or a homegrown player playing for your home team and scoring your first goal, it's definitely a big moment, and it can get emotional. And yeah, I mean, you can definitely see what it means for Caleb Wiley scoring on his debut and scoring for the team that he wants to play. And most importantly, that of course was the goal that pretty much sealed all 3 points for Atlanta, as again, in the end, Atlanta wins 3-1 against Sporting KC. Shots in this game, 12 shots compared to the 14 that SKC had, 6 shots on goal compared to the 2 that SKC had, 4 shots off target compared to the 7 that Sporting KC had, 5 shots that is blocked compared to the 2 that Atlanta has, and possession-wise, 49% possession compared to 51% possession that Sporting KC has in this game. And for Sporting KC, throughout this offseason, we talk about the problem with the number 9 position and who, of course, would replace Polito. But I think after this game, they might have a new problem. And that new problem is the defense. I mean, I've said last year, that the defense, it could be inconsistent at times. It can sometimes be good, and then it can sometimes be bad. This was a good example of when their defense was bad, and, hopefully they, of course, will address that, because, with the way that they can play like that in their defense being very inconsistent, they're not going to get over the hill of finally reaching MLS Cup. But now moving on in terms of the next match, and probably the most surprising result of this weekend's action. I mean, there wasn't really a lot of surprising result, because, with the home team winning it almost every single game, there wasn't really much surprises. I mean, even with the road team winning, I mean, I guess you could maybe say that the game I went to with Nashville pulling an upset against the Sounder is a big upset, but then again, I did say that Nashville was going to finish first in the West in my prediction, and that, I thought they were going to be good. So, I feel like this maybe was the upset, because I thought the Galaxy was going to get tattooed by this NYCFC attack. And yes, I know, CCL, of course, is tough, and that, this is also a good example after this weekend where I've said all those MLS team that was in CCL that lost, and how it's just so tough for MLS team to balance both competition, and that, for NYCFC, even though they of course was in CCL, I thought they kind of took it easy in terms of the two leg against Santo Guapales, and facing against the Galaxy defense that I've said that didn't has improved. I thought also this was one of the best games that the Galaxy defense play, and they really shut down this high power NYCFC attack throughout this game. Though early on in the second minute, Bond did deny Magno, who had a free header there before Douglas Costa, because that's actually the correct pronunciation. He had his first real chance to score in MLS, but puts it straight to Johnson. I mean, I thought Costa had a meh kind of game. I mean, his debut was kind of similar to Shaqiri, where it wasn't anything spectacular, and that they had some good moments, but mostly they weren't really involved throughout this game. Then Johnson denied Costa from long range in the 6th minute. I thought the Galaxy looked the better team early in this one. Raheem Edwards then hits one straight to Johnson from close range. Edwards had a great game in this one, and that this is kind of starting to seem like the Raheem Edwards that we remember from Toronto FC, rather to become kind of a journeyman in MLS right now. Then in the 33rd minute, this is where we had some controversy in this game. Araujo basically grabbed Morales in the neck and basically wrestled him down in the box, kind of Tim Melia style. And there was no PK or VAR that is being used in this. And honestly, I'm not going to once again lavish in terms of talking about Pro and talk about the problems with VAR, because I've mentioned it so many times. But this is Exhibit A of why some people are very frustrated with VAR use in MLS, because this is clearly a penalty. And if anything, this should have been a red card for Raul, because you just simply cannot not do that in a soccer field, and especially you put your hands in the face of the opponent and kind of slam it down. It's an automatic red card, and the fact that they missed it, I mean, again, NYCFC, after with how the resort is, they're going to definitely point out to this resort as one of the big reasons why they lost it, and in some way they do have a say to it, though. I thought in this game they didn't really play well enough where they deserve all 3 points, but this is a big case of them saying that the Galaxy probably should have been down to 10 men for 60 the last, or not 60, but the last 57 minutes, and we probably should have got a penalty because of that situation. Then 1 minute after that controversial call, Johnson did deny Cabral from 12 yards out, and then Castellanos with his first real look. It turns out to be the only look that he has this game, but unfortunately he could not put that one on target for the header. Again, I thought the Galaxy defense not only played well, but they really shut down Tati Castellanos in this game. So we go to halftime, scoreless between both of these teams. And the second half, NYCFC did start the second half as the better side. They kind of had some momentum as we head into halftime, though Costa did have a chance to score his first goal in MLS, but he hits it high from close range. Johnson then denied Chicharito on the volley. I mean, up to that point, Chicharito was also very, very quiet in this game, but you just kind of had a sense that, with Chicharito, even when he has a very quiet game, he just need one chance, and that he can make an impact in the game. Though, again, momentum I thought will swing right back to the Galaxy. Revolson, I thought he should have scored the winning goal late in this game, and as this game looked like it was going to head to a 0-0 draw, again, Revolson had an absolute sitter from 8 yards out that he wasn't able to put away, but thankfully for him and his team, the winner eventually did came in the 90th minute. And again, Chicharito, he wasn't really involved too much in this game, but if you give him one chance, he's going to most likely put it away, and he did in this case, as he scored here from Raheem Edwards to give the Galaxy a 1-0 lead. Though late in the game, NYCFC had a chance to get a late equalizer, and we almost saw opening weekend drama again in MLS, as Abear just dragged it wide from 10 yards out, and thankfully for the Galaxy, that of course went wide, because in the end, they were able to hold on with a 1-0 win against NYCFC. Shots in this one, 15 shots compared to 9 that NYCFC had, 6 shots on goal compared to 1 that NYCFC had, 4 shots off target compared to 6 that the Galaxy had, 3 shots that was blocked compared to 4 that NYCFC had, and possession-wise, 54% possession compared to 46% possession that NYCFC has in this game. And overall, it was a great game for the Galaxy, able to knock off the defending MLS Cup champion. And again, with NYCFC, I'm just going to give the same pass like I did with Montreal, where again, though I don't think NYCFC suffer as much of a letdown after a monumental victory. I mean, anytime when you beat Santos Guapales, it's not really as monumental as beating the other Santos team in Mexico and Santos Laguna, like what Montreal did. But yeah, they definitely look like they got that CCL hangover, and I don't think this is the NYCFC team that we're going to see very often. I think they're going to be a really good team, but as the old saying goes, even good teams will have an off day, and this is an example of that. But now moving on, in terms of the next match, is going to be the Houston Dynamo versus RSL. So you know how I said in the other 0-0 draw of this opening weekend, how that game had a lot of action, and if only one team can put the ball into the back of net or be a little bit more clinical, that game wouldn't have ended 0-0. This was the complete opposite, and this is it. Like in some way, in terms of the opening weekend of these 0-0 draw, we saw two different kinds of 0-0 draw. We saw an exciting game that unfortunately ended 0-0. And then we see a game that tends to be very boring, and that it was bound to be a 0-0 draw, and this was an example of it. I mean, judging by the fact I didn't write a lot of notes, you probably know that it's not going to be an exciting game. Though early on, I thought there was a couple of half chances for both teams, but again, not much really tested the goalkeeper. Mateus Vera had the first real opportunity, but he completely mishit a volley that ends up to be a throw-in, and that shot kind of summarized this game. I mean, it was all. If you're a neutral watching this game, I mean, I do apologize. The fact that you just that you of course wasted 90 minutes of your time watching this, because yeah, it was not a game that is going to excite anyone. Though in the 26th minute, Silva then hits one straight to Clark. Before Pico did pose it wide from 16 yards out in the 44th minute. Actually, I wasn't going to apologize. I was going to say my condolences to you, because I'm not the one that basically dictate of how this game, of course, would wins. But yeah, my condolences to anyone that, of course, watches this as a neutral or not a Dynamo or RSL fan. But yeah, we head to halftime scoreless in this game, and in the second half, yeah, I mean, first 15 minutes, Z, because it was nothing happening at all. McMath then denied Lundqvist from close range in the 60th minute. I don't know what happened to Ochoa in this game. I think he might have picked up a knock, so Zach McMath was in for this game. Rodriguez then puts it into the stands from close range the 62nd minute, and the Dynamo started to slowly gain some traction and was looking for that winner, though in the 69th minute Clark did deny Chang from close range, one of the better looks of the game, and certainly one of the better looks for RSL in this one. Then we came the closest of scoring the first goal in the 82nd minute as Quintero smacked the post as he was trying to curl one in from 19 yards out. I mean, if that one went in, that would have been an amazing goal, though not really goal of the week material, because we know that bicycle kick that Jimmy Chara scored against New England is going to be the goal of the week. But yeah, in the end, it ends scoreless in this one, and the shots in this one, 10 shots compared to 8 that RSL had, 2 shots on goal for both of these teams, 5 shots off target for the 3 that RSL. Both teams had 3 shots that was blocked in possession-wise, 62% possession compared to 38% possession that RSL has in this game. And again, I don't really have much to add in this game other than the fact that, yeah, it was kind of expected that this was going to get to a 0-0 draw. And also, that this game was boring when you also kind of look at the expectancy chart, where, yeah, the expectancy chart, I think both teams was combined with like 0.6 goals. I mean, anytime when you have an expectancy goal that is below 1, most of the time it's going to end 0-0, and that, of course, was the case in this game. But that being said, I am now going to switch sports and look at the game that I attended on Sunday in Seattle between the Sounders and Nashville SC. So, I know I said in the quick recap of how this game turns out to be a great game, and I kind of want to reiterate that a little bit because, I think during the time when I was doing the quick recap after this game was over from Lumen's Field, I kind of had that adrenaline rush because, I was just happy of being at that stadium. I've always want to go to Lumen's Field and watch a Sounders game, as that's really near one of my top of the bucket list, and the fact that I was able to attend it, and also the fact that I also enjoy the weather in that game. I mean, I know you're going to call me crazy, but I do enjoy watching a soccer game in the rain or in bad weather, because there's just something about it that is much more fun and kind of creates some very wacky situation when a game is raining or in a rare case is snowing than just a normal sunny game that we see in most of these MLS games. And not to mention, I don't usually see a game that is raining throughout my time, knowing the fact that I live in an area that we're currently experiencing a drought. And also, by the way, that 2 hour delay that I encounter of me going back to the Bay Area, maybe something has to play with the weather, because during my time in Seattle, pretty much except for the first couple of hours of me being there, it was raining. And I think it's still raining right now because they had a big atmosphere river. But in terms of the game itself, yeah, it was definitely not a game that a neutral would like to see. Though I kind of did say in the preview that I feel like this is what gonna be a very Nashville SC type of game, where this is what they do. They suffocate opponent throughout on the road. They don't make things easy for the home team. And while it's not really good to watch for a neutral, they don't care. They're there to just get a point. And in this case, they got all 3 points and get a win against the Sounders, where not many team has been able to do so on the road, especially playing against the Sounders at Lumen's Field. Though early on in the first half, I thought it was a sloppy start for the Sounders, as there was just way too many turnover that they were committing in their own half. I mean, it was almost like they were asking to get score on early by Nashville with so many turnover in their own half. Leal then drives one that goes wide in the 6th minute, and it shouldn't come with a big surprise that chances all came because of a turnover from the Sounders early on. Though, again, not much chances to speak of, as the shot was only 2-1 at the 13-minute mark. The Sounders eventually did clean up their turnover problem and started to dominate possession, but Nashville was just sitting in their mid blocking counter, and again, that's very typical of them, a very typical Gary Smith kind of tactics of just being maybe a little bit conservative and counter when the moment comes, right? Fry denied Mukhtar from close range in the 23rd minute before Mukhtar hits it straight to Fry after, again, another bad turnover from the Sounders. Yamar then lashed one that goes wide in the 37th minute before the Sounders actually almost got the opening goal, and it wasn't because of them, one of their players scoring, but actually their opponent scoring an own goal, as Eric Miller almost scored an own goal, but Willis was able to save it off the line. And I think that also kind of came off of a set piece, which, again, set piece defending was a huge problem for this Nashville SC team. And in this game, I thought they did a little bit better, but you can definitely see there was time where there were some nerve-wracking moments, and this was maybe one of the example of that. We then had it coming together as Nuhu and Sapon kind of had some choice words to each other. I mean, I don't think CJ Sapon chose the right opponent to have choice words with Nuhu, especially of how big Nuhu is. But we had to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. And then in the second half, there was a huge shout for a penalty for the Sounders that was not given. I believe it was Kellen Rowe that was trying to draw a penalty, but it was not given. Again, not much happening in the first 15 minutes of the second half, which I thought it favored Nashville, because this is exactly what they wanted. They don't want a very open game. They want to keep it tight and frustrate the opposition, and they definitely did that throughout the first 60 minutes. Though I will say that part of that has to do with the fact that the Sounders, they were just moving the ball way too slow. Like, they pretty much play in the hands of Nashville, where, when you don't move the ball fast, and especially I think Nashville came with a 4-4-2 diamond, and they try to make things narrow, and the fact that the Sounders kind of just decided to maybe play it slowly and don't even switch the ball often, I mean, that's not a way to, that is basically the number one way to not play against a team that is decided to play a 4-4-2 diamond and decided to play narrow. And it's also kind of the reason why, no wonder why the Sounders didn't generate a lot of chances. Then in the 70th minute, Sapon blasted way wide from long range before Leo Chu with one of the better opportunity for the Sounders, but he puts it into the stand from long range as he was going through on goal. Then Fry denied Bunbury from close range, but on the same play, Godoy would score from layout to give Nashville a 1-0 lead, and I'm not going to lie, I try so hard to not celebrate. I mean, you know me in terms of my opinions toward the Sounders and how they are my most hated team. But in this instant, the reason why I try not so hard to not celebrate isn't because of that, but it's just the fact that Godoy scored. And, as much as I still have some frustrating time with, I don't know about Godoy with the Quakes, anytime when a former Quakes player score, and as long as it's not against the Quakes, I would feel happy about that, because you know he's still even though he's no longer with the Quakes, he'll forever known as a player that plays for the team, and it's great to see Godoy, of course, scoring. And again, Godoy is not one that usually score a lot of goals, so this is kind of a rarity where he just kind of popped up into the back post, and Leal found a beautiful pass to him to basically tap it in to give Nashville a 1-0 lead. And yeah, that really stunned the Sounders crowd. Like I was sitting there, and I know there were people around me were very frustrated of seeing how their team was playing, but they did not expect Nashville was going to take the lead at any point of this game. And really, as the time winds down, that goal really kind of wake up the Sounders, because this is when they finally started to realize that, oh yeah, we better get our acts together instead of just playing whatever we're doing right now that is not working and playing in the hands of Nashville. And they started to kind of press for the equalizer, but unfortunately, when you decide to finally realize that you need to get an equalizer and you chase games against Nashville, odds are that's not going to be in your favor, because Nashville is a team that is very good when they're holding on to a lead, and they go with their usual park the bus mode and kind of play that low block where it's almost impossible to try to break down. Although they did had a chance, the Sounders, in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, as Rodon drive one that goes straight to Willis, but in the end, Nashville, a big statement win. And you know, we talked about how can they, of course, pass a very tough test in the first game back in the Western Conference against a Western Conference foe. Well, not only the fact that they answer yes, but they might have just sent a statement that, yeah, this is gonna be a team that, you know, every Western Conference team will have a very frustrating time dealing with them twice. And you know, the Sounders just kind of got a first taste of it, and this is also kind of the reason why I picked them to finish first. And I'm also kind of glad that you know at the end of today, well, actually Nashville isn't exactly first in the West at the end of today, but at least, you know, they got a big statement win that they look like they could finish first place in the West. And for once, that position where I predict in the Western Conference that tends to be a curse, it doesn't seem like that's the case. As the shots in this one, 10 shots compared to 16 that Nashville has, 2 shots on goal compared to 4 that Nashville has, 6 shots off target compared to 2 that Nashville has, 4 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that the Sounders had, and possession-wise, 58% possession compared to 42% possession that Nashville SC has in this game. And again, for the Sounders, I'm going to say the same thing with all the other MLS team that was in CCL. I'll kind of give them a pass, but in some way, you know, I don't want to say that I kind of saw this one coming with the way that when they put 5 past Montegua, you know, there's that old saying that, you know, it's great to score a bunch of goals, but you want to kind of save some for the next game too. And it feels like this is just a case where maybe the Sounders used up all their goals against Montegua, and that, you know, they just couldn't get anything going against Nashville SC. Though I will say that trying to face against this Nashville defense compared to Montegua is a complete different animal. I mean, it's almost like you're just basically facing a 2nd or 3rd division team. I mean, no disrespect to Montegua, but you know, Nashville is a really good team, while Montegua, you know, is shown in that game against the Sounders. They weren't really up for the task. I mean, I will say that they did try to do it at least for a leg and a half, but you know, eventually the Sounders was going to pull through it and then cut through that defense. But again, that's not how Nashville will play. Nashville is a really good defense, and I even said that they're probably the best defensive team in the league, and it definitely shown in this game. But yeah, either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of all of these games. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.